methodology utilized by investigators for quite some time to build profiles of those people that they investigate. Those profiles guides the investigations, creates the focus areas, and we want to talk a little bit about the traditional way that we've done those things, but I have Kajen with me today to talk about the new developments that have taken place. But if we can step back to the traditional view, Kajen, how did we used to do these original investigations or the traditional ways?
Thanks, Herman. Traditionally, we would consider publicly available information, and this would primarily be from publicly sourced databases such as deeds, such as telephone logs where possible, media research, and other sources of that nature. We traditionally take that information and try to collate it as best as possible to form a picture of that individual's universe.
You're talking about the picture. How did we present those the traditional way? How did we put them together so the clients can understand or investigators can understand where they need to focus?
So visually, we would try and use analytic software, visual analytic software. What this would allow us to do is to take these various pieces of information, draw a picture which shows you clusters of relationships and hidden links. That would then form the profile which will help us going forward in the investigation.
You just described the traditional way. It's still relevant and we still do that, but a new world has come. A new world is available to us.
For sure.
Describe that new world to me.
The new world sees much more publicly available information. With the advent of social media networks, there's such a wealth of information available on every single individual on this planet. That information is useful and valuable to us in an investigation context.
Talking about social media, for us as the investigators, which are the main social media areas or focus environments that we should consider?
The most commonly used social media platforms right now are things such as YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and then even if you go to other mobile type devices, you see things like BBM Messenger, WhatsApp, WeChat, and others. All these have various forms of data stored in there relating to conversational history, relating to images, relating to posts people might have put up, showing us where people were and what they've been talking about.
So if the forensic investigator is keen to understand that world, what are the kind of tools that you need to access that world?
There's no one tool that fits the job. There's a suite of tools that forensic investigators need to have themselves equipped with to be able to, number one, access and make a copy of the social media information that exists out there. Then secondly, to be able to mine this massive amount of information to make sense of it. And that involves some of the visual analytics techniques we traditionally used to use, but far more sophisticated, because it almost gets into the world of big data with the volume of social media that sits out there. So you need to use visual analytics to make sense of this, to show you the picture and the hidden relationships between various individuals that could be relevant in your investigation.
So if you understand which social media to target and you've got this combination of tools, what is it in general that you find that is worthwhile to the forensic investigator in executing of his work?
The extent of what you find varies from investigation to investigation, as well as from person to person. Often people have privacy settings set up on their profiles, but those privacy settings don't prevent us from getting information nonetheless. Mm-hmm. In our experience, we've managed to find conversation histories, we've managed to find imagery, we've managed to find posts, as well as information about where people were at a certain point in time. All these useful pieces of information have helped us proceed successfully in an investigation.
So if you found that, what is the story that it tells us out of the social media world? If you have to summarize that, what is it that the investigator gains? What's the story or the information line that comes from this world?
I think it may be best if I explain that with an example. Mm-hmm. Let's take a scenario where we're investigating a case where an employee has a potential conflict with a supplier. There's a suspicion that there's a kickback going on between an employee and a supplier. So we perform an investigation of this employee traditionally by doing the profiles, by doing computer evidence recovery, looking at emails and other documentation. However, we cannot find a link between this employee and the supplier. Let's go into the world of social media. We perform a check on social media. We find a lot of information for both individuals on Facebook, but nothing that conclusively links them. However, when you start combining the different pieces of information together, you see that on LinkedIn perhaps, the individuals went to the same high school and the same university at the same point in time. That's the first point of link that we have. It doesn't show that there's a kickback, but it shows a relationship between the two individuals. Now, the employee had his profile very well locked down. We couldn't find much information on there. But if you look at his son's profile, his son has got pictures of a holiday. If you look at the pictures of the holiday, the supplier is present in those pictures. Now you're getting a more conclusive picture and a better linkage between these two individuals, indicating that there may be the instances of kickbacks going on in the background.
I think that's a great example, and I think it shows, in the end of the day, how social media has become another wealth of information for us, having the right tools, focusing in the right area to enhance what I used to call the traditional profile in the new world, where the social media is now the information world that helps us track it. And it's clear to me that within the modern forensic toolbox, you need these particular tools just as well as you use the old technique of traditional profile building.
100%. The modern forensic practice needs the capability to access, copy, store, and analyze social media in order to be a successful forensic practice in the way of the future.
Thank you for the discussion, Jen.
Thanks, Herman.